I'm Dave with Hamilton Motor Company. We're here today with a 2014 to 2019 Toyota Sienna. We're going to be installing the Hamilton upgrade kit for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Our kit is one of the most unique on the market. It's going to allow you to preserve your factory Sirius XM as well as preserve your factory microphone. This kit is going to physically install into the factory unit. We're going to add CarPlay and Android Auto functionality right into that factory unit. Today we're going to make a full install video. That'll be this video. We'll have as well an overview video that shows you how the product works, what it looks like. And finally, for those of you who are installing it right now, afterwards you're going to want to watch our video, how to get the audio working and set up CarPlay. And we'll have that all here in our YouTube channel. If you need anything, we have North Carolina-based tech support here to help you at 919-858-2890. We have an industry-leading warranty and top-tier customer service. Let's get going. Under the hood, we're going to go ahead and use a 10mm socket to loosen the negative battery cable and then remove it from the vehicle. Start by grabbing the shift knob. We'll thread it counterclockwise to take it off the gear shift. With that removed, you can use either a trim pry tool or a credit card. And we'll start under this leather covered piece of trim on one end and lift it free as you go all the way across the dash. Sometimes a couple of the clips will pop off. Just make sure you pick these up so we can put them back on. Make sure that you've located your clips, and we'll go ahead and set this in the back. With the top cover removed, we're going to go ahead and remove this whole trim surround here. Once again, you can either use a small pry tool or a credit card to reach in and then just grab across the trim. Pop it free from the vehicle and negotiate it gently around the gauge cluster surround. We'll slide it out and disconnect the harnesses. I'm going to support the trim with one hand and then reach behind it, press down on the tab, and we'll disconnect that harness for the climate control. Now, we will expose one additional harness, press down on the tab, and we'll take the whole trim piece and we'll set it in the back. Inside the vehicle, we're going to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 10mm bolts, holding the factory radio in place. As you remove these bolts, set them in a safe spot. We're going to put them in the cup holder. With those 4 bolts removed, grip the head unit, slide it straight out of the vehicle, and we'll go ahead and disconnect all of the harnesses behind it. We'll press down on the plastic tabs one by one and remove all of the wires. Don't worry, you're not going to be able to put these back in the wrong orientation, so you don't need to take a picture really or anything like that. We're going to remove every harness from the back of this radio. With the harnesses removed, we have this adapter on here that goes between the Sirius XM module and the radio. We'll put this back on at the end. Let's take it inside and we'll install the Hamilton system. We're about to install the Hamilton system. I've got 2 of them here and you might be wondering why. I'll explain it to you quickly. See where it says Pioneer Corporation here? Toyota subcontracted the original production of these units to 2 companies. One is Panasonic and one was Pioneer. A bit over 90% of Siennas will have the Panasonic one. It's by far the most common. So that's what we ship by default. The Panasonic version is going to come with 4 ribbon cables. We'll have a little guide on our website that'll show you how to check whether or not you have Panasonic or Pioneer. For the Pioneer folks, there's a slightly different board that's needed and it only has 2 ribbon cables total. If you get the wrong one, we can easily shoot you out a little board that you can switch to have the Panasonic or Pioneer be changed over. And we'll show you how to do that. We have a separate little guide for that. So we'll make sure we get you the right one. For most people, you don't need to worry about this. You'll have the Panasonic. But in the event that you do have the Pioneer, the installation is almost identical, and we'll show you that today. So for the Panasonic, you would have just one extra set of connections to make. Inside the radio, it looks exactly like our Toyota 4Runner video or our Tacoma video, okay? So if you have the Panasonic, stop here and watch our Tacoma video. And if you have the Pioneer, you can keep watching. Now, it'll be virtually identical should you stay on this video. The unit, the Panasonic unit in our Tacoma video is the identical unit that would be in your Sienna. It is quite literally the same exact product from Panasonic. So you could stop here and switch to that video if you want, if you have Panasonic. All right, we're gonna go ahead and remove the Phillips head screws here and here. This is the XM module, the Sirius XM module on the back. We will take off the wiring harness, the adapter. It's a 6-way adapter, and it connects the factory unit to the Sirius XM module. You go ahead and use a large Phillips head screwdriver. Let's take off all these Phillips head screws. You could also use a 10mm ratchet. If you have a small screwdriver, it'll be a lot harder to take them off. The big one gets a lot more torque. Like that, we'll take this bracket off. We'll repeat this on the other side here. Now we've got towels down on the table. The reason for this, you want to be careful not to scratch your screen. So take the last one off, support your unit a little bit, and we'll take it all apart now. This is the XM module. We'll set this aside. Now I'll turn this. This is how you'd be facing it. You put the screen down, you have the sticker pointing away from you right here. Let's get going. We're going to go around the perimeter here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to use a small Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to remove all these tiny screws. And these screws are all the same, so you don't need to do anything special. Now, as these screws are gone, we're going to have a couple little clips. There's one right here. I just reached in with my fingernail and released it. And then on what would be the top of the radio, see that? 2 more right there. And you can reach in with your fingernail or a credit card even. And pop all 3 of those. Now when you've got them popped, don't just yank it off, because we've got to separate the screen from the rest of the unit. Then what I'm going to do, just take your fingernail under this black bar and gently pop it up. Now you can even, as you're doing it, support that bar. If this car is on the older side and this has never been done before, as you're taking your fingernail and lifting up on this black bar, just support it from the top. Don't get under here and just pop it up, because you don't want to put too much pressure on it. Now these are pretty strong, but I've seen out of probably thousands of these that we have in service, maybe a couple where if this bar is a little bit brittle and you rip on it too hard, you can hurt it. So just put your fingernail up, and as long as you have another finger supporting it and you lift it up, it'll be just fine. Now on the Pioneer unit here, we have one ribbon cable coming out going to the screen. If this was the Panasonic, it would be virtually identical, except you'd have one fat one and one skinny one. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So now we've got the sticker pointing towards the sky. Here is what is the actual head unit separated from the screen. And we're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver, that small one. We're going to take out these Phillips head screws. Now while I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you, people wonder, we have some modules for Lexus and Toyota Land Cruiser where you don't have to do all this. You can simply install it to the wiring harness and you get Apple CarPlay. So why can't you do that on the Sienna? And this is the same truth for the Highlander, Tacoma, 4Runner, the Prado as well if you're international. And what it is, when the head unit and the screen are all one device like this one is here, in order to get full resolution CarPlay where it'll feel factory, you have to get physically between the head unit and the screen. So on a Land Cruiser, the radio, the actual head unit, is separated from the screen. So we can get full resolution CarPlay with big wiring harnesses that are a bit easier to install than this. But with this type of unit, we have to take it fully apart. And we have to actually get into these ribbon cables. These are basically wires. It's just on a much more compact basis. And so we have to get between the actual wires in here. Got the rest of these screws coming out. They're a little bit on the tighter side. We work with a boutique manufacturer to make ours. It's very high quality. We confidently believe it is the best on the market. And for folks, you know, especially with Lexus and Toyota, I drive a 4Runner. You know, you've bought a vehicle that's going to last a long, long time. You really only want to put electronics in your car that you trust are going to be up to that same level of quality, and that's what we seek to deliver at Hamilton Motor Company. So I've got all the screws out here. You can see there were 6 in total of these little guys. And now I'd be ready to take this plate off the head unit. I got to do one thing first. The gray and the black, these little wires, I'm just going to use my fingernail and I'm going to get in here. I'm going to pop them up. And they're both going to come off the posts, and I'll show them to you up close when we're done here. So now with those freed, we'll take it out. These wires, they're for your factory antennas. And it's just a little socket that goes onto a post on a circuit board. You just use your fingernail and pop them up. Be somewhat gentle with them. We'll take this bracket and we'll set it aside. Now we're in here. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and grab the Hamilton unit. This is a Pioneer. We're going to put the Hamilton unit underneath it like this, where the edge of the Hamilton lines up with the open edge of the original. And the sticker, the model sticker, is pointing towards the sky. Now I'm going to put that model sticker down for just a second. I'm going to get a piece of tape and I'm going to tape it on here so that I have it in place while I work on it. All right, so we temporarily flipped it upside down so we can put this tape on it. So for the purposes of this video, we'll call sticker in the air right side up. Now we've got this ribbon cable coming out of the factory one. The factory one has this kind of yellow tape on it. We're going to do the same thing here with it back right side up. I'm going to use one fingernail to lift up on the bar and the other to support it to make sure we don't send it flying away. We'll take the factory ribbon cable out. We'll take the Hamilton ribbon cable. Blue points towards the sky, metal points towards a circuit board. We're going to take this Hamilton ribbon cable and I'll show you how to install a ribbon cable. We'll take it, line it up in the socket, and press it into place. I'm going to talk to you quickly about how to install a ribbon cable. Here is the ribbon cable. You see it has this blue side, like we said, that's going to point towards the sky. The metal pads will point towards the circuit board. The ribbon cable runs along here and then it has this notch. You're going to want the notch to line up with the corresponding notch inside the socket. So what we're going to do, we're going to take it, we'll fold it like this. We'll press it into the socket. When you have the notch lining up with the little post in there on either side, you go ahead and close the bar. The way you'll know you have it in right There will be blue showing here, but you want the blue line to be parallel with the black bar. If the blue line is not parallel with the black bar, you probably don't have it installed fully. We just folded over and installed this one ribbon cable. If you had the Panasonic unit, instead of one socket, you would have two. Should be 1, 2, and that's the only difference. Now I'm going to angle it with the circuit boards facing towards the sky. I'm going to take this plate, I'm going to put this ribbon cable through the plate here, and I'm going to line this plate back up where it was from the factory. Now we'll have this one extra long ribbon cable coming through. We'll go ahead and reinstall the screws. Sometimes people get worried about pressing the ribbon cables in between these metal plates. You have to understand, this is what ribbon cables are all about. They are like paper, they're flat, so it's not like a wire that we're going to risk damaging by pressing it. So pressing the ribbon cables between this plate is totally okay. And one day in the future, if somebody ever takes this out in 10 years, see how the factory one has these creases? Yours too will have creases, and that's totally fine. So we'll put this ribbon cable plate in here, and we'll go ahead and reinstall these 6 small screws. I'll start with doing one on either side, and that way there I don't have the plate trying to jump away on me. This looks super intimidating with these electronics and the circuit boards and everything, but this is something, we have plenty of folks, we've been selling these for some time, and we have plenty of folks with the 4Runner. The 4Runner one is one of the oldest for us that, you know, have almost no experience with electronics and are able to DIY this. It's not that complicated as long as you follow the video step by step. Of course, one of the things that makes us different at Hamilton Motor Company, we have live phone support based here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're here to help you. So if you need any assistance, you can talk to somebody who's done this installation before, knows exactly what they're doing, and can walk you through it. All right, with those 6 screws reinstalled, we're going to reinstall these gray and black wires here. These are the antenna wires we popped off. If you forget which one goes where, the circuit board is labeled black and white. I think it's more like gray, but at least you'll be able to remember. So now we're going to take this little gold head here, line it right up onto its post, and then just press it down. You don't need to use a lot of force here. And you heard both of those click into place. We will now reinstall the Hamilton ribbon cable into the factory screen. Once again, the only difference, if you had the Panasonic as opposed to the Pioneer, you would have had 2, and then you'd have 2. So it'd be 1 and 1 more. And so that is the only difference. So we've got the Pioneer. We're going to install this one ribbon cable here. Do the same thing. We line up the little notches this time into the holes on the socket. We fold that bar back down. Once again, if you had the Panasonic, instead of just 1 ribbon cable, you'd have 2. So it'd be 2 and 2 instead of 1 and 1. Now we'll take this, we'll gently maneuver the radio back into place. And snap the screen back on. We'll go ahead and reinstall the 6 longer small Phillips head screws we removed. You don't need to over tighten any of these. We are putting metal into plastic, so all that matters is that it's snug. Just like that, we've got all of those back in. Now we'll leave this tape on until I get the 2 brackets on either side. I'll give you a quick wiring overview and then we will install this in the car. We're almost done with it. This wiring harness is going to grab between the factory harness and then plug into the new Hamilton box to give it power and data. We'll use this little accessory harness here. This USB will be for your wired CarPlay. The Hamilton systems will come built in with wired and wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. And you'll be able to use this USB for your wired CarPlay or Android Auto. All of these will be unused. Your reverse camera will work automatically, and this system will use your factory microphone. Other systems don't use your factory microphone, but ours will. And finally, this harness for this antenna is a Wi-Fi Bluetooth antenna. If you plan to use wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, you need to install this. It'll clip into the Hamilton box. We'll start here by unwrapping the main harness. We have two pigtails that come off of it. We're going to grab onto one here. We'll grab onto the other right here. We've made these two connections. Now these, we will treat them just like the factory harnesses. They'll go back into the back of the original head unit. This one's going to go into the Hamilton box. You can decide where you would like your USB port for wired CarPlay. You don't have to install it at all. In this case, we could either run it down here. You might have to drill a small hole. You could run it between your cup holders. You could run it into your glove box. You have a variety of options. Running it down here with a small hole drilled would be very nice. You could also put it down here. My recommendation would be to drill a small hole, drop it down under here. So that we didn't have to drill a hole in this video, we've dropped it down through the back right here. And this would be for your wired CarPlay only. Once again, not necessary if you don't want it. We're ready to put the vehicle back together now. We've got the radio unit back in the car. This is the Sirius XM module. They're all made by Pioneer, regardless of whether you have the Panasonic or Pioneer unit. If you don't listen to Sirius XM, you can disregard this module and ignore it. You would just disconnect it. If you do want to keep Sirius XM, what we're going to do, we have the Hamilton kit underneath the main radio here. You don't have enough room to put the Sirius XM module back in here. But what you can do, you can easily reconnect the three connections that go to the radio. We've already got the three plugs into the Sirius XM module. I'm going to pop up the speaker grate here on top of the dash. And we'll start by feeding in the Sirius XM module. And what we're going to do, there's a cavity back here in the dash on top of these vents, and we're going to feed the module, and it's going to sit back there. So I'm going to pull the wires out here. We are going to connect the one black wire to the XM module. You're going to need to use a knife and cut the electrical tape here. Make sure your fingers are not in the way, and be very gentle to protect your wire. Do not cut any tape with your fingers directly behind it. And what we're doing here, we're going to just remove this electrical tape. We're going to open up this foam a bit. What this is going to allow will be for our XM module to be placed independently of the rest of that wiring bunch. So we'll take this now. We've opened up that foam. I'm going to start. I'll feed it right back here for just a second. Again, if you don't want the XM module, this is not needed. And while I've got it sitting right here, I'm just going to go ahead and reconnect everything into the radio. This is all very self-explanatory for the most part. These wires will only fit in one way. We'll just let that XM module hang out there for just a second while we get everything connected up. Now, depending on your options package, you might have a couple slots unused. If they were unused in the beginning and they're unused now, that's totally fine. Now we're going to plug in the little Hamilton wire labeled USB. You won't have anything in these two Hamilton ports here. Then we're going to have a main Hamilton wire. We call this, if you ever are talking to us on the phone, we call this the main Hamilton power wire here. And this one is going to plug into the main slot on the Hamilton box. Of course, don't forget here, your Wi-Fi Bluetooth antenna, you do need to connect this. All right, now this antenna doesn't need to go anywhere special. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Sirius XM box, and I'm gonna lead the way with the XM box, and I'm gonna feed it back into the dash. If you have a helper, it'll make doubly sure that you don't scratch your radio. And then I'm just gonna tuck our wires in back here. And I'm gonna take my Bluetooth antenna. I'm just gonna place it back here as well. Now, we've had people ask us, like, will this rattle, or do I need to do anything special? I have never heard of one of our products causing a rattle. But what we'll do, we'll go ahead and line it up into place. We'll do a little more tucking of the wires back here, and then we can go ahead and bolt it down. Now, just as we finagle the wires in, you'll reach back here and grab the XM box and just pull it as far as it'll go. If you take it at a bit of an angle, that will get you the most room you need, and we'll show you right after we bolt it in. That'll get you the most room that you need to get this thing bolted in. It is gonna be a tight fit with that XM box. Of course, if you don't want the XM box, it makes the whole process a little bit easier. But if you do want it, you need to grab the corner of it and really take it into this cavity here. In order for us to get the screen back into place, we had to press the Sirius XM module into this cavity here. It's okay, it'll be completely concealed once we put this grate back on. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna go ahead and take the screen, line it up in its sockets. We'll bolt it in place. These are 10mm bolts. Make sure that your locator tabs on the top and bottom all go around the respective plastic locator. And what you want to do is put all 4 of the bolts in first loosely, and we'll snug everything down. Right now, or even before you put these bolts back in, but while you've got everything exposed, is a great time to test your unit. Make sure that it works. You'll check going into Apple CarPlay mode, and long holding the voice speech button on the steering wheel for 3 seconds switches between the Apple CarPlay mode or Android Auto mode and the original factory mode. This system will fully preserve your factory interface. So we're gonna throw the negative battery cable on now. We'll check it, give it a test, make sure we get audio working. You are going to want your original audio mode to be set to aux. AUX, the aux mode. It looks like the old style kind of aux cord on your factory as the audio mode for CarPlay or Android Auto to play audio. That'll be the best. So you'll be Bluetoothed into the new Hamilton system with your factory side set to aux. You'll be good to go. We're gonna test that now. With the screen bolted back in, we're gonna reconnect the black and white connectors here. And we'll begin to thread the trim piece here around the gear shift back into place. And with it back in place, we'll snap it in. Make sure that all the clips snap in firmly. Next, we'll take the gear knob, put it back on the gear shift, and we'll tighten it into place. Now we'll reconnect the gauge cluster trim. We'll take the large leather covered trim panel that goes on top of the factory radio. We'll line it up and we'll snap it back into place.